I remember the moment my world cracked. I walked into the hallway thinking the day would be normal, just another morning where Lena would smile at me and Adrian would punch my shoulder and say, "You're late again." But when I stepped inside, I heard her laugh, soft and warm, and I smiled without thinking. Then I heard his voice, low and close, and something inside me froze. I turned the corner and saw them, Lena in Adrian's arms, holding his shirt like she had held mine yesterday. I whispered, "Lena," but it came out broken. They both looked at me, and Adrian said, "Man, it's not what you think." His voice shook, but Lena didn't move away from him. My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. I asked, "Then what is it?" My voice sounded weak, even to me. Lena said, "I was going to tell you." Her eyes darted away. I didn't know how. I stepped closer. "Tell me what?" "That you lied. That you said you loved me while you were with him." Adrian raised his hands. "It just happened, okay? Don't make this a big thing." "A big thing?" I felt heat rise in my face. "You're my best friend." Lena whispered, "I'm sorry." But she didn't let go of him. My heart felt like it was splitting open. "You promised me, Lena. You said you would choose me." She looked down. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You already did," I said. My hands trembled. Students around us stopped walking. I heard small gasps, whispers, and then laughter from someone at the back. The noise made everything worse. I felt like I was shrinking while they stayed standing tall. Adrian tried to step toward me. "Let's talk somewhere else." "No," I said. "We talk here." Lena finally stepped away from him. "I still care about you," she said, "but I care about him too." "So I was just a backup?" I asked. "Is that it?" She wiped her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen." Adrian muttered, "He's overreacting." I snapped, "Say that again." He opened his mouth, but Coach Rylan appeared behind him. "Boys," he said, "not here." My throat tightened. "Coach, it's fine." "I'm done." But it wasn't fine. I could barely stand. Coach Rylan put a hand on my shoulder. "Take a breath," he murmured. I pulled away. "I need to leave." Lena reached for me. "Please don't walk away." "Why?" I asked. "So I can watch you two together?" She had no answer. I left the hallway, my steps echoing behind me. When I reached the courtyard, the air hit my face like cold water. Mira ran toward me, holding her books tight. "What happened?" she asked. "People are talking." I tried to smile. "Nothing." "You look like you're about to fall over," she said. "I'm fine." "You're lying," she whispered. "I can see it." I sat on the bench. Mira sat beside me. "Do you want to talk?" "No," I said. "I don't want to think." She put her hand on mine. "I'm here." For a moment, I wanted to tell her everything. But the words wouldn't come. They were stuck behind the pain. After school, I found Adrian waiting for me near the lockers. "Can we just fix this?" he asked. "No," I said. He frowned. "You're throwing everything away for nothing." "Nothing," I repeated. "You mean my relationship, my trust, my best friend?" He groaned. "Look, I didn't plan this. Lena and I just clicked." I laughed, but it sounded sharp. "Right. Clicked." Lena walked up behind him. "I shouldn't have lied," she said softly. "You shouldn't have cheated," I replied. She flinched. "I didn't want you to hate me." "I don't hate you," I said. "I just don't know who you are anymore." Adrian stepped forward. "Man, just calm down." "Don't," I said. "Don't call me that." He froze. For once, he had no joke, no smile, no easy excuse. I saw fear flicker in his eyes, and that scared me more than anything. I backed away. "Stay away from me. Both of you." Lena called my name, but I kept walking until their voices were gone. The sky looked gray, almost heavy. I felt like something inside me had been torn out, leaving only emptiness. When I reached the school gate, I whispered to myself, "This is the day everything ends." I didn't know then that it was also the day something new began. Something darker. Something stronger. And it all started with the moment she broke me. I walked home with slow steps, their voices echoing in my mind like whispers. I didn't know how to fill the empty space inside me, but I knew nothing would stay the same after today for me. I moved through the next few days like I was only half alive. People whispered whenever I passed them, and every whisper felt like a blade. I heard my name again and again, mixed with lies I never said. Someone said I cheated on Lena, another said I hurt Adrian, and I wanted to scream. Instead I kept my head down and walked faster because I couldn't trust my own voice. Mira tried to stop me in the kitchen at home and asked, "Are you okay?" I said I was fine, but she didn't believe me for a second. She kept pressing, asking what happened, asking why I couldn't look her in the eye. I told her to drop it, and when she refused, I walked out before I yelled at her. I didn't want her to see what was happening to me. At school, Adrian acted like nothing was wrong and even tried to joke with me. I stared at him and said, "Don't talk to me again," and he rolled his eyes like I was overreacting. Lena didn't even try to speak to me. She just hid behind her friends and avoided my eyes. Every time I saw her laugh with them, something inside me twisted so hard I felt sick. At night I sat on my bed and whispered, "Did she ever love me at all?" The room felt cold, and I hated how weak I sounded even when I was alone. My grades dropped fast, and Mr. Hale pulled me aside after class and said, "You seem lost." I told him I was tired, but he watched me closely and asked if something happened at home. I shrugged and said, "Nothing important," but my voice cracked, and he clearly heard it. He said he was around if I needed to talk, and I nodded even though I didn't plan to. During lunch I sat alone until Naomi, Lena's best friend, placed her tray across from me. She leaned forward and said, "Everyone's talking. Do you want to tell me what really happened?" I said I didn't owe her anything, but she shook her head and whispered, "I'm not here for them." I asked why she cared, and she said, "Because you look like you're breaking apart." I told her I was fine, but she kept pushing, asking if Lena told me the truth. I froze when she said that, and she sighed and whispered, "So she didn't." I demanded to know what she meant, but she said she shouldn't interfere. I told her to explain anyway, and she hesitated before saying, "She never planned to choose you." The words hit me so hard I had to grab the table to steady myself. Naomi whispered that she shouldn't say more, then stood and told me to take care of myself. When she left, I put my head in my hands and tried to breathe, but everything felt tight inside my chest. I whispered, "Was I really just a backup?" And the question echoed in my skull like a curse. All afternoon I drifted from class to class, barely hearing anything, barely feeling anything except the aching blur in my mind. When the final bell rang, I walked out slowly until Mr. Hale called my name again from behind me. He asked me to come back inside for a moment, and I followed him even though I didn't want to talk. He closed the door and said softly, "You look like you haven't slept in days." I told him I was fine again, but he shook his head and said, "That answer never works on me." He asked if someone hurt me, and the question almost broke me because I didn't know how to answer. In the end I only said, "I'll deal with it," and he sighed but told me he believed I could. I walked home slowly, letting the wind hit my face while I tried to keep myself from falling apart again. When I reached my room, I closed the door and whispered that I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like everything inside me was breaking at once. I could barely breathe. I knew I was falling apart, but the breaking point came faster than I expected. After school, I tried to leave quietly, but Adrian followed me to the gate. He said, "Man, you need to move on." His voice sounded fake, like he practiced it in front of a mirror. "I don't want to talk," I said, but he blocked my path with that smug look he always used when he wanted control. "You're making this harder than it has to be," he said. I felt something sharp twist inside me, like his words were cutting through what was left. "You don't get to tell me anything," I said. He laughed, low and annoyed, and said, "You're acting like a victim." That word hit me harder than his earlier lies. I stepped back and whispered, "Leave me alone." Adrian shrugged and walked away, but the damage was already burning. I felt my chest tighten until I couldn't breathe right. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want Mira asking questions I couldn't answer. So I ran. I didn't even know where I was going. only that my feet kept moving while my mind shouted, "Stop," again and again. The rain started without warning, hitting my face so hard I could barely see. I heard cars passing, brakes screeching, someone yelling at me to get off the road, but I didn't care. I kept walking because walking felt easier than thinking, and thinking hurt more than anything right then. Why did she lie? I whispered to myself. The rain drowned my voice, but I kept asking anyway. Why wasn't I enough? The more I spoke, the weaker I felt, like my words were peeling away the last pieces holding me together. I walked faster, trying to outrun the pain. I reached the crosswalk without noticing the light had turned red. A car honked, but the sound felt far away. I muttered, "I don't care anymore," and stepped forward. My clothes were soaked, my hands shaking, and the world around me blurred until it felt like I wasn't even real. Someone shouted my name behind me, but the rain made it hard to hear. I thought it was Mira, but I wasn't sure. I didn't turn around. I just kept moving. The streetlights flickered, and the air smelled like wet asphalt and something sharp, like danger waiting for me arrive. I stepped into the street without thinking. The headlights rushed toward me so fast I couldn't react. Someone screamed my name again, louder this time, almost tearing through the rain. I whispered, "I'm sorry," though I didn't know who I was apologizing to. The lights grew brighter until everything dissolved. In that moment I felt nothing but regret. I wish I had been stronger, I thought. I wish I never loved her. My legs buckled, and the sound of the truck roared around me like a storm breaking open. My thoughts faded, slipping away like water through trembling hands tonight. I tried to breathe, but the world felt distant, like it was already letting go of me. The rain touched my face, cold and gentle now, almost kind. I heard a voice calling out, but it sounded underwater. I couldn't answer. My chest felt heavy, and everything inside me trembled. My knees hit the ground first. I didn't feel pain, only a strange warmth spreading slowly through me. The world dimmed around the edges, like a picture fading. I whispered, "Please stop," though I knew nothing would. My body felt lighter, and my thoughts floated just out of reach now. I thought about Mira, about how she would cry when she heard. I thought about Adrian's face when he realized what he'd done. I thought about Lena, about how she said she loved me. My vision darkened. The rain softened. I whispered her name once, then felt myself slipping into. My last thought was simple. I wished I had been stronger. I wished I had known how to protect myself before everything fell apart. The cold wrapped around me like a blanket pulling me under. My eyes closed. My breath faded. And then I felt the world release me completely. When I opened my eyes, I thought I was in the afterlife. Everything felt too bright, too sharp, like the world was new again. I sat up fast and whispered, "Did I die?" My voice shook. But then I saw the hallway floor, the same gray tile from school, and my heart lurched. I knew this place. I knew this moment. I wasn't dead. I was back. I grabbed my head and muttered, "No, this isn't real." But the sounds around me were too familiar. The lockers slamming, the morning chatter, the squeak of shoes on the floor. I checked my phone with shaking hands. The date hit me so hard I almost dropped it. 1 week before the betrayal. 1 week before I saw Lena in Adrian's arms. My chest tightened as I whispered, "Why am I here again?" A wave of fear rushed through me, but it mixed with something colder, something steady. I whispered, "I know what you'll do to me," though no one was listening. My hands trembled as I stood. The hallway looked the same, but I saw small details I missed before. Lena checking her phone with a quick smile, Adrian watching her from across the lockers, both pretending nothing was happening yet. Their lies were already alive. I whispered, "Not this time." I walked past them without stopping. Lena called my name, but her voice sounded distant, like an echo from a life I no longer trusted. I didn't turn around. Adrian said, "Dude, wait," but hearing his voice made my stomach twist. I kept walking until their voices faded, and I finally breathed out, "I won't be weak again. You won't break me twice." I reached the courtyard and leaned against a bench, trying to understand the impossible. "I died," I whispered. "I know I died." My hands shook harder as memories slammed into me. The headlights, the scream, the impact, The cold. I swallowed hard and said, "So why am I here?" The wind brushed past, carrying voices of students who had no idea how broken I was inside. Then I heard a voice beside me, "You look lost." I turned and saw a boy I barely recognized, a quiet student who usually sat in the back of class. He had calm eyes, steady in a way that felt almost unreal compared to the chaos inside me. "Are you okay?" he asked. I hesitated, then said, "Not really." He nodded and replied, "Thought so. I'm Ethan." His simple tone eased something in me. I asked, "Why are you talking to me?" He shrugged lightly and said, "You look like you're carrying something heavy." I almost laughed because he had no idea how true that was. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," I said. Ethan leaned on the bench and replied, "Try me." Something about his voice made me pause, like he actually meant it. I thought about telling him everything, but the words tangled in my throat. Instead I whispered, "I just don't want to repeat my mistakes." He studied my face and asked, "Someone hurt you?" I let out a shaky breath and said, "Yeah, but not again." Ethan nodded slowly and said, "Good. Don't let them." His calm confidence felt strange, almost comforting. I murmured, "I won't." As he walked away, I whispered, "Why didn't I notice him before?" Maybe I was too blind, too focused on people who threw me away. I stared at the hallway again and felt something new settle in my chest. Not hope yet, but something firm. I said quietly, "This time I choose myself." The world felt different. My heart felt colder, my mind sharper. I wasn't the same person who died. I clenched my fists and whispered, "I won't beg for her love again." The memory of the betrayal flickered inside me, but instead of breaking, it hardened into something sharp. I breathed in and said, "I know what happens next, but I won't let it destroy me again." I stepped forward, each movement steady. "This time," I whispered, "I decide how the story goes." I felt the second chance settle around me like a warning and a promise I refused to waste ever again. I woke up the next morning with one thought burning in my mind. I walk away first this time. I found Lena by her locker before she could find Adrian. She smiled when she saw me, and it felt strange, knowing what that smile would become in a week. She said, "Hey, you're early. Did something happen?" I took a breath and said, "Yeah. I want to talk." Her smile dropped. "What's wrong?" she asked. I said, "I'm ending this." Her eyes widened fast. "Ending what?" I said, "Us." She stared at me like she didn't understand English. "Why? Did I do something?" I shook my head. "I just don't want this anymore." She grabbed my arm. "Are you breaking up with me?" I met her eyes and said, "Yes." She whispered, "But why now?" I pulled my arm free and said, "Because I should have done it a long time ago." She tried again, "If something happened, tell me." I said, "Nothing happened yet, and that's enough for me." Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but no words came. Her silence felt like victory. I turned away, and she called my name, but I didn't stop. For the first time, I left her standing there. Adrian appeared around the corner and said, "Dude, what did you say to her?" I walked past him without slowing down. He stepped in front of me. "Hey, I'm talking to you." I answered, "I don't care." He frowned. "What's your problem lately?" I said, "You." He blinked, confused. "What did I do?" I brushed past him again. "Nothing yet," I muttered, and left him standing there too. Later, during gym, Coach Ryland blew the whistle and called me over. "You look different," he said. I shrugged. "Just tired of being weak." He raised an eyebrow. "Weak how?" I answered, "Inside." He studied my face before saying, "Then we train." I nodded. He handed me boxing gloves and said, "Hit the bag until your mind stops screaming." I hit it hard, again and again, until my arms burned. Coach watched and said, "Good. Now talk." I shook my head and said, "No talking. Just focus." He didn't push further, only said, "Come every day if you mean what you say." I said, "I do." And I meant it. After practice, Mira caught up to me outside. "You're home late," she said. I answered, "Coach asked me to stay." She frowned. "Why? You're not even on a team." I shrugged. "Maybe I should be." She stared at me and asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm trying to be." She moved closer and said, "If someone hurt you, tell me." I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized how often I brushed her off in my last life. I whispered, "I'm sorry for ignoring you before." She blinked. "Where's this coming from?" I said, "You deserve better from me." Her eyes softened. "Just don't disappear on me," she whispered. I said, "I won't." The next day, Ethan found me near the courtyard bench. He said, "You look lighter." I snorted. "I broke up with someone." He nodded slowly. "Was it hard?" I answered, "No. That's the scary part." Ethan leaned against the bench. "Sometimes the thing you fear becomes easy when you're already done inside." His words hit deeper than he knew. I said, "Maybe I was done long before I realized it." He smiled faintly and said, "Good. Then this is the real start." I asked, "Why do you even talk to me?" He shrugged. "Because you sound like someone trying to survive." I whispered, "Yeah, I guess I am." As we talked, Naomi walked by, glancing between me and the building where Lena stood watching. Naomi approached slowly. "Word is you broke up with her," she said. I nodded. She asked, "Are you sure that's what you want?" I said, "More than anything." She pressed her lips together. "Then, good," she whispered, but her eyes looked worried, almost guilty. I said, "You know something." She shook her head quickly. "I don't." Then she walked away too fast for her lie to look normal. Ethan looked at me. "She's hiding something," he said. I replied, "I know." He asked, "You going to chase it?" I shook my head. "No. I don't need to." He nodded slowly. "So what now?" I drew a breath and said, "Now I focus on myself." I noticed the shift the moment I stepped into school. Whispers followed me again, but they sounded different this time. Less pity, more curiosity. I walked toward my locker and heard Lena's voice behind me, sharp and cracking. "You didn't have to say it like that," she snapped. Adrian hissed back, "You're the one who messed it up first." I didn't even slow down. Their perfect world was already breaking without me doing a thing. At lunch, Ethan slid into the seat across from me. "You're quiet today," he said. I smirked. "Isn't that normal?" He shook his head. "No. This is controlled quiet. Like you're watching something burn." I shrugged. "Maybe I am." He raised an eyebrow. "Should I be worried?" I said, "Only if you like them." He laughed softly. "I don't." For a moment, the tension inside me eased. Suddenly, Naomi sat beside me. She leaned in and whispered, "You deserved better than them." I stared at her. "Why are you telling me this?" She glanced around nervously. "Because it's true. And because they're falling apart without you reacting the way they expected." I asked, "Expected how?" She said, "Crying, chasing, begging, something dramatic." I let out a breath. "I'm done with all that." Naomi nodded. "Good. Don't give them anything." Across the cafeteria, Lena slammed her tray down and shouted at Adrian. Her voice echoed, "You're making everything worse." Adrian snapped, "Because you're obsessed with fixing something that's already dead." Everyone stared. I just ate my food and kept my head down. Naomi murmured, "You see it now, right? They were never stable." I said, "I know that better than anyone." She frowned like she wanted to say more, but stopped herself. After school, I walked through the hallway and heard their voices again behind the half-shut door of an empty classroom. Lena hissed, "You said he'd come back to me." Adrian spat, "You said he'd fall apart." She snapped, "You promised you'd handle it." He fired back, "I didn't think he'd grow a spine overnight." I didn't stay to listen. It wasn't worth my time anymore. Ethan caught up to me outside. "You heard them, didn't you?" he asked. I said, "Not on purpose." He smiled. You don't look bothered. I answered, I'm past being bothered. Ethan studied me. It suits you. I raised a brow. What does? He replied, this new calm you're wearing. I looked away. Calm is the only thing I've got left. Ethan nudged me with his elbow. Or maybe it's the first thing you finally chose. As we walked, Naomi jogged up beside us. Adrian's looking for you, she warned. I sighed. Of course he is. Ethan asked, do you want me to stay? I shook my head. I can handle him. Naomi looked worried. Just, don't let him get in your head. I smirked. He lost access. She gave me a small smile and walked off. I didn't have to look far. Adrian marched toward me across the parking lot, jaw clenched. We need to talk, he barked. I said, no, you need to talk. I don't. He stepped closer. What game are you playing? I answered, none. He snapped, then why are you acting like this? I shrugged. Because I don't care anymore. His nostrils flared. Lena's losing it. She thinks you hate her. I said, not my problem. He grabbed my shoulder. You're making things worse for her. I knocked his hand away. She made her own mess. He glared. You think you look strong? You look pathetic. I stared him down. I've already been pathetic. I'm done with that stage. He stepped even closer. If you're trying to make me the bad guy, I cut him off. You did that yourself the moment you lied to me. His eyes widened for a split second before he covered it. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, I know enough. Adrian shoved me hard. Stay away from us, he growled. I steadied myself, unfazed. You're not worth avoiding. He clenched his fists, teeth grinding. I swear, if you keep this up, I interrupted again. You'll do what? Ruin me. Take something else? You already did your worst. He froze, like he wasn't expecting me to bite back. For once, I saw real uncertainty in his eyes. He backed off, muttering, You've changed. I nodded. Yeah, that's the point. He walked away, frustrated and defeated. Ethan reappeared beside me a moment later. You okay? He asked. I let out a long breath. Yeah. He smiled. Good. Because the cracks are showing everywhere. I glanced toward the hallway where Lena and Adrian disappeared. Let them break, I said quietly. I'm done holding anything up. For the first time, I meant it. Naomi caught up to me behind the library, her voice low. I need to tell you something, she said. I crossed my arms. Is this about them again? She nodded. Yeah. And you deserve to know the truth. I felt my stomach tighten. Then say it. She hesitated. Lena never planned to choose you. Not once. My breath stalled, but I forced myself to stay calm. What do you mean? Naomi sighed. You were her backup. Her safe place if Adrian didn't want her. I stared at her, heat rising in my chest. So I was insurance. She whispered, yes. I clenched my jaw. She told me I was her future. Naomi shook her head. She said that because she knew you'd believe it. I looked away. Why are you telling me this now? Naomi answered softly, because I finally realized how cruel it was. And because you're not falling apart the way she expected. It's making her panic. I let out a slow breath. So she's scared of losing control? Naomi nodded. Exactly. And Adrian's cracking under guilt. He pretends he doesn't care, but he does. I chuckled bitterly. Good. They should feel something. Naomi stepped closer. What are you going to do? I answered, nothing violent, nothing loud, just truth. She frowned. Truth. I said, yeah. Let them face what they created. After school, I walked into an empty classroom and opened my old messages with Lena. The lies were clearer now. You really fooled me, I whispered to myself. I started gathering everything, screenshots, voice notes, dates, photos. Not to expose her instantly, but to remind myself I wasn't imagining the betrayal. Ethan found me sitting there, staring at my phone. "You look like you're solving a crime," he joked. I smirked. "Maybe I am." He sat beside me. "You okay?" I replied, "Getting there." He leaned in slightly. "Talk to me." I kept my eyes on the screen. Naomi told me the truth. Lena never planned to choose me. I was just her backup. Ethan's face softened. "I'm sorry." I shrugged. "Don't be." I needed to hear it. He asked, "What are you going to do with all that?" I said, "Nothing. Not yet. I'll let the truth do the work." Ethan nodded. "Revenge by silence?" I smiled. "Something like that." Over the next week, things changed fast. Lena stopped smiling in the hallways. Adrian snapped at anyone who spoke to him. Their friends drifted away one by one. I heard someone whisper, "They're always fighting now." Another said, "Adrian's tanking his grades." I walked past them like I didn't hear a thing. My calmness only seemed to make everything worse for them. One afternoon, Lena approached me near the lockers. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice shaking. I didn't look at her. "About what?" She bit her lip. "Us." I gave a short laugh. "There is no us." She whispered, "I feel like you hate me." I stared at the floor. "I don't hate you." She let out a breath. "Good, because I cut her off. I'm just done caring." She froze, eyes wide. "You can't mean that." I whispered, "I do." She walked away trembling. Ethan leaned against a wall nearby, watching. "That looked rough," he said. I exhaled. "For her." Ethan nudged my shoulder. "You're stronger than you think." I gave him a tired smile. "Maybe." He answered, "No. Definitely." His voice felt like a hand pulling me out of deep water. Later that day, Adrian stormed up to me. "Did you say something to Lena?" he demanded. I blinked slowly. "I didn't need to." He glared. "She's falling apart." I replied, "Sounds like a personal problem." He shoved me back. "You did something." I stepped forward. "I didn't touch either of you. You broke yourselves." He faltered for a second. "This isn't how it was supposed to go." I whispered, "I know. I was supposed to break, right?" His face twisted, and he walked away without another word. That night, I sat with Ethan behind the gym. "You're quiet again," he said. I shrugged. "Thinking." He asked, "About them?" I shook my head. "About me. About what I want now." Ethan smiled. "Good. Think about your future, not your past." I looked at him and felt a warmth I didn't recognize. "You make it sound easy." He said, "It's not easy. But it's possible." For the first time since everything shattered, I believed him. The gym roared with noise during the big game, but I felt strangely calm. I watched Adrian miss pass after pass. Every time he messed up, he screamed at someone else. "Catch the ball!" he yelled at a teammate. "That was on you." The kid fired back. "No, dude, that was all you." I sat in the bleachers, arms folded, letting the chaos speak for itself. When the final buzzer sounded, Adrian slammed his helmet on the ground. "This team is useless," he shouted. Coach Rylan stormed over. "Adrian, that's enough," he barked. Adrian snapped, "Don't tell me how to play." Coach growled, "I'm telling you how to act." I almost laughed. It felt like watching a tower fall piece by piece. I walked toward the hallway afterward and heard someone crying in the girls' bathroom. Lena's voice trembled. "I can't do this anymore," she sobbed. Another girl whispered, "Then talk to him." Lena choked out, "I'm scared. He'll hate me." I didn't stay, but Naomi caught me as I turned away. "You heard that, didn't you?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah." She sighed. "She wants to apologize. She wants to tell you everything." I let out a bitter laugh. "She should be scared." Naomi whispered, "You don't sound angry anymore." I said, "I'm not. I'm just done." The next day, People avoided them like they carried bad luck. I overheard two guys whispering, "Adrian's losing it." Another said, "Lena won't stop crying." I kept walking, not taking part. Karma really did work quietly. Ethan found me near the vending machines. "You look lighter today," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Lighter?" He nodded. "Yeah, like you finally let something go." I smirked. "Maybe I did." He handed me a bottle of water. "You know, it's weird seeing you heal this fast." I shrugged. "Maybe I just needed distance." Ethan leaned against the wall. "Or maybe you needed honesty." I met his eyes for a second before looking away. "Maybe." During lunch, Mira sat across from me and studied my face. "You're smiling," she said softly. I blinked. "Am I?" She nodded. "It's been a while." I ruffled her hair. "Guess things are changing." She smiled. "I like this version of you." I replied, "Me too." As we walked home, Ethan nudged my shoulder. "So what's next for you?" he asked. I shrugged. "Not sure. But I'm not going backward." Ethan smiled. "Good answer." I paused. "Why are you helping me so much?" He shrugged. "Maybe I just want to see you win." I laughed. "That's a first." But peace didn't last long. After school one day, Adrian came storming toward me in the parking lot, fury all over his face. "You think you're better than me now?" he shouted. I sighed. "I don't think about you at all." He grabbed my shirt. "Say that again." I looked him straight in the eyes. "I don't think about you." His fist tightened like he wanted to swing. Before he could, I heard a sharp whistle. Coach Ryland strode over, eyes blazing. "Adrian, let go of him." Adrian muttered. "He started it." Coach snapped. "I saw everything. Back off." Adrian took a step back, but kept glaring at me. "You're ruining everything," he growled. I shook my head. "You ruined it yourself." Coach pointed at him. "One more stunt like this and you're benched." "Understood." Adrian didn't answer, just stomped away. Coach turned to me. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." He studied my face. "You're handling this better than before." I shrugged. "Maybe I finally learned something." Coach smiled faintly. "Good. Keep going." I whispered, "I will." Walking home, Ethan caught up again. "So, he tried to hit you?" he asked. I nodded. "He's desperate." Ethan smirked. "And you're not giving him the reaction he wants." I replied, "I don't owe him anything." Ethan nudged me. "Good. Stay that way." That night, Naomi texted me, "Lena had another breakdown. She thinks everything is falling apart." I typed back, "It is." She responded, "You're not going to talk to her, right?" "No." She lost that chance. Good. She needs to live with what she did. I put my phone down and stared at the ceiling. For the first time, the heaviness in my chest felt gone. Mira knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" she asked. I smiled. "Yeah." She sat beside me. "You seem happier," she said. I nodded. "I think I am." She leaned on my shoulder. "I'm glad." I rested my head lightly against hers. "Me too." When she left, I looked at my reflection in the window. I didn't see the broken version of myself anymore. I saw someone standing straighter, breathing easier, living again. And it felt like the beginning, not the end. I knew something was off the moment I walked into the courtyard. People whispered and nudged each other. I heard someone mutter, "She's finally going to say it." Another whispered, "This is going to be bad." I turned and saw Lena standing in the center, eyes red, hands shaking. "I need to talk to you," she said, voice cracking. I kept my distance. "About what?" She took a small step toward me. "About us." I shook my head. "There is no us." She flinched. "Please, just listen." I crossed my arms. "Fine. talk. Tears welled up in her eyes as she whispered, I made a mistake. I didn't react. Which one? She swallowed. All of it. Adrian, everything. I said nothing. She continued, voice trembling, I should have chosen you. I should have stayed with you. I was scared you'd leave me one day, so I tried to get close to him first. I blinked slowly. So I was insurance. She nodded weakly. Yes. But I regret it now. For a second, old memories tried to claw their way up, late-night calls, promises, the way she smiled when she said she'd always choose me. In my past life, I would have forgiven her right here. I would have begged her to come back. But that version of me died under truck headlights. I steadied my breath. Lena, I said quietly, I'm done being your second choice. Her face collapsed. I never meant to. I cut her off. You did. You meant every part of it. You just didn't expect me to walk away first. She shook her head, tears dripping down her chin. I love you. No, I whispered. You love control. And I stopped giving it to you. Gasps echoed around us. Someone whispered. He finally said it. Lena stared at me like I had stabbed her, but I felt nothing except relief. Suddenly, a loud voice exploded from behind her. Lena, what are you doing? Adrian pushed through the crowd, chest heaving. Why are you talking to him? Lena wiped her eyes. Adrian, stop. No, he shouted. You're mine. I exhaled sharply. Here we go. Adrian pointed at me. He's trying to turn you against me. I raised an eyebrow. I didn't say anything. He stepped closer. What lies did you tell her? I shrugged. Ask her. He snapped at Lena. What did he say? She whispered. He didn't say anything. I came to him. Adrian looked stunned. Why would you do that? Lena sobbed. Because I messed up, Adrian. Because I hurt him. He grabbed her wrist. You don't owe him anything. She pulled away. I do. I broke him. Adrian's eyes burned. You didn't break him. Look at him. He's fine. He's smug, even. I said calmly, I'm just done with drama. Adrian snarled. Because you started it. I couldn't help laughing. Really? That's the story you're going with. He stepped into my space. You think you're better than me? I think I'm not part of your mess anymore, I answered. The crowd thickened. Phones came out. Whispers grew louder. Are they breaking up? They already broke. No, look. Adrian's losing it. Lena's crying again. Adrian lunged like he wanted to shove me, but Ethan stepped between us, calm and steady. Back off, Ethan said. Adrian's eyes narrowed. You again. Ethan didn't blink. Yeah, me. Adrian spat. Stay out of this. Ethan replied. Then stop trying to start a fight. Lena grabbed Adrian's arm. Please stop. You're making it worse. He jerked away. You're choosing him now? Him. She shouted. I'm choosing myself. He scoffed. Yeah, right. She trembled. Adrian, I'm tired. I'm tired of lying. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of chasing something that's already broken. He stared at her like she had betrayed him. After everything I did, I muttered, exactly the problem. Lena turned back to me. I'm sorry, she whispered again. I shook my head. I don't need your apology. She cried harder. Then what do you want? Distance, I said. And peace. Adrian snapped. Walk away if you're so peaceful. I answered, gladly. I turned, and Ethan walked beside me without needing to be asked. The crowd parted, whispering as we passed. Behind us, Lena sobbed and Adrian shouted something I didn't bother hearing. Ethan glanced at me. You okay? I nodded. Yeah. You handled that well, he said. I let out a slow breath. I didn't fight. I didn't argue. I just told the truth. Ethan smiled. And it burned them. I looked ahead. They burned themselves. For once, walking away didn't feel like losing. It felt like freedom. I stood behind the bleachers after school, breathing in the cold air while Ethan waited beside me. He asked softly, "Are you ready to talk about everything?" I nodded, though my chest felt tight. "Yeah," I said. "I think I finally am." He studied my face like he already knew what I wanted to say, but he let me speak first. I admitted, "I'm choosing my own future now, not the one I kept chasing before." Ethan stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Good," he said. "You deserve a future that doesn't hurt you." I felt something warm rise in my chest. I used to think love meant begging someone to stay, I confessed. But now I know that real love doesn't make me feel small. Ethan's eyes softened. "Then let me be someone who never makes you fight for honesty," he murmured. "I want to stand with you, if you'll have me." My breath caught when he said that. "Why now?" I asked quietly. "Why me, after everything?" He shook his head, refusing to let me twist the moment into doubt. "Because I saw you choosing yourself," he replied. "And I realized I want to be part of the life you fight for, not the life you run from." His words struck deeper than I expected. "Ethan, are you sure?" I whispered. "I'm not exactly easy right now." He laughed softly, not mocking, just warm. "I don't need easy," he said. "I need real. And you're real, even when you're hurting." I felt my throat close, the honesty almost overwhelming. "No one's ever said something like that to me," I admitted. "They should have," he answered. "You've always been worth choosing." I swallowed hard. "Ethan, I think I want to try. With you." His breath hitched. "Then let me choose you openly," he said. "Right now." I stared at him, stunned by how boldly he offered himself. "Okay," I breathed. "Then choose me." He stepped closer until our shoulders touched. "I like you," he said, voice steady. "Not because you're broken. Because you're brave." My heart twisted. "I want to learn how to trust again," I whispered. "With you." He smiled gently. "Then we start slow. No pressure. Just honesty." I nodded. That's all I ever needed. When we walked back toward the courtyard, everything felt lighter, like I had shed a version of myself I no longer needed. Lena stood near the doors, staring at us with red eyes. She whispered, "So you really chose him?" I sighed. "No," I said. "I chose myself. Ethan's just the person who chose me too." She shook her head, tears forming. "I'm sorry," she said weakly. "I messed everything up." I answered, "I'm not your backup anymore." Adrian stormed out behind her, glaring at me like I had stolen something from him. "You think you won," he snapped. "You think choosing him makes you better than us?" I shook my head calmly. "I'm not competing with you," I said. "I'm done with all of this." Adrian stepped closer, but Ethan moved beside me instantly. "Back off," Ethan said firmly. Adrian scoffed. "Pathetic." I shrugged. "Maybe. But at least I'm finally free." We left them behind, their arguments fading as we stepped onto the empty field. Ethan exhaled slowly. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "Yeah." For the first time in a long time. "Yeah." He slipped his hand into mine, not forcing, just offering. "Then let's walk forward together," he said. I squeezed his hand. "I want that." The sky felt wider, brighter, like a future I had never allowed myself to imagine was finally opening. I breathed deeply, ready. Ready for a life I chose, not one I survived. Ethan looked at me with a small smile. "Whatever comes next," he said, "you won't face it alone." My chest tightened in a good way this time. "I spent so long thinking I wasn't enough," I admitted. "But I'm starting to believe I am." Ethan nodded. "You are. And I'm here because I want to be, not because you need saving." I whispered, "Then this is my real beginning." And the future opened a quiet path before me.